So, this is a story time that I want to tell you guys. So as you can see, I got this chain right here. See how it fits. And you can see it when you look down. Actually, I didn't buy this chain by itself. I had bought some pants one time. And the chain, it came on the pants, some type of, way. It was like a little chain, how you had them chain hanging on the clothes. And I took it and made a chain out of it. I did it that way because I didn't really care for the pants for real. And then it was in, I was out wearing them, so I was like, I like this on necklace. So as you might see, go back some. This necklace right here, as you can see, it's a little dirty, which the paint that came off it. There's a story time behind this necklace. I must say about that. So with this necklace, one day I was at my grandma's house. My mom said she had to work. She had to go to work. So I was dropped off at my grandma's house or whatever, like every morning, before she go to work. And we was out in the yard playing. My cousin, he was riding his bike and stuff, and I was out there playing. So I so happened, to be down by the tree playing with the ball. And he was up in the yard on his bike getting ready to come down, where I was. So I saw him coming, so I was like, I'm going to get out the way, because I don't want to, mess around and get hit or be in his way. So I was playing with the ball, and the ball tripped me up. I fell over the ball. And that's all. And after that happened, before I knew it, he had already came down and he was flying. And he already had ran to me and knocked me down on the ground. And on the ground I went. So, when I fell backwards, I hit my back of my head and I blacked out. I went blank. But when I came to, all I remember and all I remember seeing is his bike tire up in I seen it back in his bike going up like this, because when he hit the gears and tried to stop the brakes, before he got to me, but it was too late. So the back of his bike was going upward, and I can just feel, just see his front tire on my forehead, just like putting pressure down on my forehead while the back of it was going up. Was all I'm, seeing when I came to. So, after that happened, he got, a chance to get the bike, stop his speed and everything. I was able to get on up off the ground. So I got on up off the ground, and I'm dusting myself off. Because, remind you, it was hot that day. It was very hot summer. And I was dusting myself off. And so I felt something cold drip down the back of my neck. And I'm like, I'm looking around, trying to figure out, like, it's not raining outside, it's hot, I don't know what, and I don't see no rain. And I'm like, I'm asking him, is it rain? He's like, nah, he don't see no rain, he don't feel no rain, none of that, So when I reached back there to do my hand in my head like that, and bring my hand around, I looked at my hand. My hand was full of blood. My hand was red. The whole hand was red. Like you just take a paintbrush and just cover your hand in red. That's how my hand was. So, I'm wiping it on my clothes. You might say why I'm doing that. But anyway, I wiped it on my clothes. And I'm like, I was looking at him, I'm like, I'm bleeding. And he like, you bleeding? And stuff. He like, she's like, he in shock. I'm in shock. So I looked down on the ground, on the rock where I hit one of the rocks that I hit my head on. I could see a little pinch of blood on the rock. So I'm like, at this point, I gotta go in the house and tell what's going on. Escaping, ain't no getting around that. So as I'm walking, everywhere I went, from up the driveway all the way up to the house and up the stairs, about blood this size, quarter sizes, dripping behind me like a trail everywhere I went. And that day I I know I remember having on some blue jeans, needling, blue jeans, light blue jeans at that time. So, after, I got in the house and everything and went down the hall to, tell. At this time, my, grandma was there and my auntie. So, he came in the house behind me. He was coming behind me. So, we back there and I'm trying to get ready to tell what happened. He wouldn't talk. It was like he was in shock. So, I'm like, well, I'll tell the story and say what happened. So, I'm telling them what happened from the beginning and everything. And I had made sure I mentioned, I'm like, look, I wasn't playing with him. I wasn't out there playing with him, being tumble or none of that. Because then they'd been like, well, you was out there playing with him, or you been, tumble out, how that went. So I was like, it wasn't none of that going on. And, it's an accident. So me being me, I'm going in the bathroom trying to put tissue on it, thinking they're going to stop it, or hoping that's going to stop it. My grandma was like, you're going to need stitches. That ain't even going to help none. And as she's saying that to me, and as I'm putting this tissue back there, it's like cotton. That blood soaking the tissue like cotton. The cotton just folding up in my hand. I mean the tissue just folding in my hand. I'm just looking at it like, you got to be kidding me. With a shocked look on my face. So I went on up the hall and sat down in the chair, and I was sitting in the chair. By the time I even made it up there and sat down there good. And this is no cap, no lie, no nothing. One side of my pants was red. It's like you couldn't even see the light blue. No, it's just like the pants was like at this point light blue and red. Because my neck was so full of blood, like my neck, it was just like real thick. It was just so covered in blood, so I barely was able to move my neck. And my head at this point was just, pounded, like, and I was blacking in and out. I was going in and out. So that's how much blood I was losing. And then it was hot, not to mention that heat makes it worse. So I'm sitting in the door, and I blacked out. And at this point, all I could see is like a white light, like you coming in the afterlife or some type of way. And then I see a shadow. And my granddad, he was talking to me, but I didn't hear him. Because I blacked out at this point, but that's all I'm seeing. And he looking at me, and he talking, he trying to see. And then I came to, and he had this look on his face, and I'm looking at him like, is it that bad? Like, what's going on? And stuff. And he asked me what happened. I told him what happened and everything. So after all that and everything, that's when I got in the car. We got in the car to go to my mama's house. She was getting ready to go to work that day. She hadn't left for work yet. So we pulled up in the yard at the house, at my house. And because she stayed around the corner from my grandma. So I pulled in the yard. We pulled in the yard. And now I'm still sitting in the car, and my auntie get out, and she go talking to my mom, telling her what happened and stuff. And she looking like, other words saying, you ain't gonna go to work because it's such going on, this happened, that happened. She looking like, what could happen, So when she come get in the car, so my mama at this point, my uncle drive, my auntie in the front, my mama here, I'm in the middle, my brother. At this point, we in the car, and she looking stunned, like, what happened, like, what did you do, And so they got some ice, they put some ice on the Ziploc bag, and she was holding to the back of my head. And when I tell you, the first time that she put that ice to the back of my head, I had locked up like a motor, like it just, and I just like froze. And I'm doing like this, move my head back, cause I'm like, that's, it's, I know it's supposed to help, but I'm saying to myself, it's so cold, it's like, it's just making me worse. Making me black out more, or whatever going on, I don't know. But they had to do that to keep me woke, and not to mention, I was so sleepy after the whole incident. I was so sleepy. I kept trying to go to bed, and not supposed to go to sleep when you've been hitting your head. So at this point, my mom kept waking me up. She's like, "Don't go to sleep. I need you to stay woke." She's talking to me, making sure I'm hearing her, making sure I'm woke and everything and stuff like that, holding the ice back in my head, try to stop much of the bleeding. Apparently it was still bleeding too. But get to the doctor. Get to the supposed to go to the hospital. So the first hospital we went to, we got there and everything, and they turned me back around. There was like nothing they can do, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, I'm bleeding like this, and there's nothing y'all can do, and now I got to leave and go somewhere else. Like, that's messed up. It sucks to be going through something and you get turned down. The help that you need, you get turned down that help. But anyway, so went to another hospital or whatever, and as we get in the car, this how I'm blacking out at this point. Like I said, I'm already blacking out, so this let you know how worse it was getting. So everybody, we getting out the car. Even my other uncle and auntie was there or whatever. So everybody walking this way. I'm going this way. They just calling me, and I'm not. I don't even hear them. I'm just yet walking. Cause it's like at this point when I'm getting out the car, my brain is just saying, "Get out the car and go. Just go." So I'm getting out the car like my brain saying, because like I said, you a bit hitting my head, so can't think at this point. And I'm going that way, and then finally I came to again and heard them calling me, and I turned around and started back walking that way towards them to go the right way. So got in and everything, and I was standing there, and my mom wanted to check me in and all this stuff, and the lady behind the thing behind the desk, it was so bad till she was trying to she couldn't even barely do her job. Like, she was leaning up outside the looking and trying to see what was going on, just really see. And it was 2 police officers over by the door. They were just talking, having a conversation. So I'm standing there, and then they end up looking, and I was looking at them. When they looking at me after, I looked at them after they looked at me or whatever. I had already saw them, but turned my head or whatever, just standing there, and they looking and got this look on their face like they saying, what happened? And they approached me and they, start interrogating me and stuff like that. I felt like it was an interrogation because I'm already, not just need help at this point, and they asked me questions. Just imagine that. But anyway, they was like, first thing they said was, "Who shot you?" And I'm looking at them like, it's that bad? Like, it's that bad? They're to a point y'all think I literally got shot? Like, they literally asked me who shot me in the head. And I'm standing out, and me being at the young age I'm like, I said to myself, if I got shot in the head, how I'm still standing here talking to you? Or I'm standing here like this, But, they literally thought that I got shot in the head. So they questioned me, and I'm telling them what happened. And I had to make sure that I'm like, put emphasis on this is an accident, because it's like they action and they way of talking, it's like they was ready to leave they jurisdiction and go pick him up that day. And I'm like, hold the brakes. It's an accident. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so I was like, can I get back there with some help or something? I'm getting agitated at this point. And who wouldn't? You bleeding like that and you just need help. You blacking out, So they got me onto the back, and then before that, it was people that was on the other side. They had even got up and was looking around and looking, and had a shocked look on their face. They saying, "Wow," So everybody had that same look on their face when they saw me. And they, like I said, they had to get me back before anybody because I was in bad shape. I wasn't gonna make it sit down no waiting room, bleeding like that. So they got me back there and everything, and I was sitting in the room and just, waiting on the doctor to come in, or nurse or whoever I'm supposed to see, and all this stuff like that to get set up. So as I'm back there, and the nurse come in and she was talking or whatever, and she was like, we might have to do staples. When she said that, and she, she said that, and then she was going out the door afterwards. And I'm getting out the bed at this point, walking toward the door. My mom was like, where you going? I said, I'm finna go. She like, you can't just leave. I was like, did you just hear this woman say staples? They might have put staples in my head. What you gonna sit there and let them put staples in your head? I don't think so. Like, literally. Really? So I came back and sat down and everything, sitting down. Like I said, waiting. It was like a long wait. You know how they go when you go to the hospitals, doctor office, whatever. You go to the building, agonize and wait. So I'm sitting in there at that point when she got in there with everything, and I had my back turned to her, and she was like, you know, scoot over, and I'm scooting over inch by inch, and she was like, come over some more. And as I'm coming over, I looked to the side and I saw that needle, and I start easing on back up. She was like, it's not gonna hurt, you know, just trying to, you know, encourage me and keep me comfortable and everything. So I start easing on back and stuff like that, you know, trying to, so I could be closer so she can put the stitches in my head, because they end up using stitches and not staples, thank God. So she was putting the you know, she had the needle thread and through my head. She'll put it down and then pull it up like that. I didn't feel when she was putting the needle down in there, and I'm glad I didn't. But when she pulled it up, it felt like a million bees was just got stuck to my head, and it was just stinging the mess out of me, like 100, 1,000,000 of them just in my head, just one spot. That's what it felt like. And I think I ended up getting like, I thought I had 13 stitches put in my head, 13 stitches, something like that. But I asked her, I said, well, why it bleed so bad? Because she was like, it just a, she was like, it just a, it wasn't like, it was like, you know, they had to cut my hair back there, but it wasn't no big old hole, nothing like that. It was like a little tiny hole. It wasn't like a, I'm gonna say like a, not like a gash or nothing like that. It was like small. And I was like, why it bleed so bad? Like it, you know, was real bad. And she was like, a lot of time, most of the time when you have something, it bleeds more worse than you actually having a whole gash or anything that it bleeds. I guess, you know, the blood coming out, able to come out faster or whatever, I don't know. But anyway, need to say when it's bad, that's it. You know, look with me losing the amount of blood that I lost. And I lost so much blood till it was like, I can't never bleed out like that again and lose that much blood again, you know. So let you know right there how much blood I actually lost. And to sum this story up, they prescribed me some Motrin, basically ibuprofen, but they prescribed me some Motrin to take home for pain. And I ended up having the visible stitches, the stitches that dissolve on their own, they come out on their own. Not visible stitches, but dissolvable stitches, or whatever you want to call it. But you know, that was a whole process. But they wrapped my whole head up, my whole head was wrapped up, and I was like that. And that happened a little bit before school came back in, when the summer was getting ready to end. So that was crazy. But you know, I got a chance to heal in time before school came back in, and didn't have to worry about that. But when I got home to take my medicine and stuff, my head was so enough pain. It was like, poof, poof, poof. You talking about the worst? It was worse than any migraine you can have. Any type of headache, that was the worst. Getting hit in your head is one of the worst headache you can have. You know. And the way I had to sleep was just awful. I had to sleep on my face. I couldn't sleep because they was like, don't put pressures on the stitches because it can come loose and be bad all over again. So I couldn't lay on my side, on my, you know, side of my face like this to the side. I couldn't lay to this side because it was like it was putting pressure, you know, and stuff that, I didn't want that. And my head already was pounding. Definitely couldn't lay backwards. I mean, on my back, you know. So I had to lay on my face and had to have my face tilted some type of way where I can breathe. I don't know. I had to make some adjustments. But I had to sleep like that for some days. And I didn't like sleeping like that at all. It was worse. So, like I said, that's the end of this story, and that's what this necklace is all about. And reason this necklace is the way it is because this necklace was around my neck when this happened, and it was full of blood. So I hope that you enjoyed my story time with this necklace. Like I said, this necklace been through a journey, and so have I. And it means so much to me. So I still have it. I'm still gonna keep it for you know, keepsake, souvenir, whatever. I chose the, you know, memories, whatever like that. But yeah, so it been through so much with me. So yeah, you definitely understand once you get to reading. Get to listening to my story, you'll say important necklace instead of being like, oh, this necklace is, you know, why it look like that. They have those questions. You'll have different questions after a while.